Hi, this is MTV214. Thanks for stopping by the channel. I'll be going over this book I just finished tonight. It's the Smithsonian Book of North American Indians Before the Coming of the Europeans. Uh, Now, this was written in 1986, so it's a little bit while ago. 39 years it was published, but so it'd be like Ignis I think I'm pronouncing that right. I always get that wrong. But I just finished this tonight. It's took about 2 weeks to read. It's very interesting that about the Native Americans of North America, like Canada, the United States, Mexico. It's very interesting, and it has a lot of pictures in this book. Let me just open it. This isn't the first Native American book I've read, so this is like atalo. It's something that they put on the end of a spear so you can throw it even further away. Sort of like in the Olympics, they had like the throwing a javelin. It's similar concept, but like to catch food. So they had a lot of different finds of animals and like human remains. There's a lot of different things like that's in the desert. Um, the house, like homes they're built in the like cave walls, which is cool. See, that's inside of a cave. And doing archaeological work. There's a lot of different pottery and putting it together. So there's a ton of different pictures in this. And it goes on about many different things in this. It's like, different regions in America. Let me just close that back up. So it's a very interesting book. Like, there's a lot of advances with the Native Americans. I've read multiple books about Native Americans before. Like over here, the Poppleville American Indian Myths and Legends. And Native American Myths and Legends, so like two different books about that. And then Echoes of Ararat, which specifically is like North America, Central America, and South America, about like flood stories of Native Americans, with the ones taken out that say like Noah and other biblical things, which could be like contamination from the Europeans and Christianity. So that has like over 300 stories of different floods. This is sort of different. This is more archaeology and culture and of the Native Americans. So some things I liked about it that was sort of interesting was the archaeological work of so like when they're doing digs, can see the dirt is different colors in places. That's because there are wood post holes there, and it's like newer dirt, so it's a different color. So they can tell things from that, as well as like digging up pottery and figurines and statues and tools, and even in like caves where the weather is like a good to for preservation, that they would find even like ancient remains of corn and other things, and like how they were like hunter-gatherers like thousands and thousands of years ago, like 10,000 plus years ago, hunter-gatherers. And then even back then that there was some farming starting, and how like agriculture helped develop societies to not just be like hunter-gatherers and like little family groups, but became more of a civilization, like more family groups getting together, and then having like cities. Like it's mentioned later on in the book about with the Olmec and the Aztecs, and with their civilizations, that it was like more populous than Spain when the Spanish came to go like conquer America, like conquer the local land, which isn't that good, but we can't do anything about that. But there was some respect for the Native Americans by some of the Europeans. Like it mentions a book that was written by a priest, of like how they were mistreated, and like he sort of like wanted to like show love and concern for them. And it's sad because there's like different artifacts that were destroyed with the coming of the Europeans. But it goes on to say like near the end about how like cultures and people change over time, that we adapt to situations. So like There were Native Americans, hunter-gatherers, and then they settle and domesticate animals and plants, and then they're farming, and people have specialized jobs, this person's a craftsperson, this person's for the religious leader, this person does this and that, in some areas there was more basket weaving and not pottery, and then other places like pottery and not as much basket weaving, and the different art motifs, and using geometric designs for their artwork, and showing different religious iconography. I can't pronounce. I think that's the word I'm thinking of. But on here it shows some different figurines from it. In the book it shows a ton of different stuff. And this is a bear looking at its reflection in the water. There's a lot of pictures here, and this is a bird statue, and there's more art. This is more modern art, sort of that, and there's a ton of pictures in this. More artwork there, and that's of a pyramid. So there's a lot of advances with there, and they're not very advanced. And there's different symbols on this. More artwork, and that's with hunting bow and arrows, and that's driving the bison off a cliff to bison, so that they would they had hunting techniques to go drive the buffalo, scare them, and then they keep running, and then fall off the cliff, and that kills them. And then they have a lot of food, and food preservation as well. That's an archaeological dig. That's some homes. So there's a lot of different things, and that's a house there that sort of remind me of Lord of the Rings. The hobbits have sort of underground sort of thing. That's a wood frame on the outside, have the dirt, and the grass grows over it. And this is a painting relating to that, and then they have the hole on the top, the fire, so it can cook food and have warmth. There's a grave, and they also talk about the mounds, in Ohio and other places, and there's the far west. I'm pretty sure this is made from bone. So they used a lot of different things from their environment as tools. So you kill a bison, you don't just have food, you use the bones to make tools and other things in art, and all the tools even have an artistic style to them too. So it's sort of paying respect to it. So, and raising growing corn and squash and beans, and also it mentioned about avocados and another fruit. I forgot the name, but I never heard of it before. But they in touch with earth and have sophisticated societies. And it sort of reminds me even today that I'm off from work. I'm on vacation starting today, and then an extended weekend. But I did a lot of gardening, so I'm sort of getting in touch with God, with nature, with the Native Americans, because I planted corn, the seeds to grow corn and squash and tomatoes and peppers and other things, and also getting in touch with my own ancestors. My paternal grandfather was a farmer and a carpenter, so I'm getting in touch with so many by doing this thing, and that there are things can learn from Native Americans and all different cultures around the world. We live in a very diverse world, and I'm very touched by some of the Native Americans myths and legends, their religious stories, because it's giving meaning to life in a way that's in touch with nature. And in today's world, it's sort of sanitized. You go to the grocery store, you buy a steak, you don't see that was a cow. You buy chicken, you don't see that was a chicken, you just see the drumsticks. So it's to really understand and get in touch with nature and where things come from and the process. And the Native Americans had also the bison, you have the hides would be for clothing, and also for shelter. So like a teepee would have like the wood frame and would have the hides of the bison around it as like, you know, for warmth and protection from shelter. So like, you know, they were very in touch with nature and like, you know, work with what you have to go and like, you know, make life better, survive and thrive and be with your family and loved ones. So it's a beautiful story, and like this was a good book to read and a lot of photos in it, which was makes it a shorter read. But very appreciative of this book, and it's on to the next. Thank you for watching and commenting, liking, subscribing. Have a great night. Take care.